All right, everybody, thank you for joining us here today. We're here because of an incident that took place in the Cowichan Aquatic Center. But before we go into the details and hear all the different people who are here today to speak, I want to introduce you to John Corey, a former city councillor and who is currently campaigning and running right now for MLA. So thank you, John Corey, here. Let's give a couple words.
Thank you very much, Selena. I appreciate that. Well, first of all, a couple of thanks to some of the organizers. Actually, there's two organizers that I can think of because it happened so quickly. Laura Allen, who's somewhere in the crowd here, and Savannah Wright. I don't know if she's here yet or not, but that's the way things happen. I got the message through social media that this was happening. I was asked to speak. I never get asked to speak at things. I can assure you that. So I'm very happy to do so because you see what you see. You see what you see. We're all having lived experiences with law and policy that has come down from an autocratic federal government and an autocratic provincial government. And it's seeping into our municipalities, and things are happening that's causing concern all around us. Okay? We no longer have to prove what policies are working and what policies are failing. And clearly we have a problem in our community where now we have a protest practically every week for one reason or another because of the deconstruction of our civilization. Take a look around. What's happening to people? People are suffering everywhere we look. Life has become unaffordable for many people. People can barely find a home. And now we have problems in our public facilities where women and children, no longer feel safe. Half of the taxpayers in our country and in our province, in our communities, cannot safely go to our public facilities, whether it's the library, the rink, the pool, the theater, the park. I mean, women need to know that when they go to the washroom or go to the change room, that a male identifying as a female is not going to barge in on them. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And we see these stories happening in Toronto, and we see these stories happening in Calgary and Vancouver and the big cities, but now it's happening in our small communities. And we can't stand idly by and allow our safe spaces for women and children to be violated this way. It doesn't make any sense. It's only happened recently. Whatever law and policy that is coming down from senior levels of government that are making it very difficult for local governments and local bureaucrats who just want to come and do their job every day, they're making it difficult to understand about this ideology that governments are bearing down on us. We know it's wrong, and it's the reason why we have places for women and places for men and places for families to go. And I watched a bit of that video that was circulated that brought everyone here today. And that guy's right. I mean, think of it. I mean, I could wake up tomorrow morning to decide I'm a woman and walk in and pay my way and go into the women's washroom and go shower while you're bringing your family into that same change room and you see me lathering up in the shower. I mean,
my daughter doesn't see my penis, and she won't fucking see yours.
So I've had phone calls. I posted on my social media that this is wrong and it needs to stop. This incident needs to be investigated, but it's putting a spotlight on the bigger issue here. Okay, and I have women writing to me and phoning me saying they're not going to the pool anymore for that reason. They don't feel safe to go there, and that's wrong. I have fathers calling me saying, I don't want my daughter to go by herself into the bathroom because I don't know what's behind the door. And I don't actually feel comfortable taking her into the men's room either. And she knows not to pee in the pool. So where do we stand? Okay, it stands with bringing common sense back to British Columbia. It stands with each and every single one of you and your human agency and your voting franchise to get involved. This is 100% political. Nobody wants to talk about politics. But folks, you need to get involved. I'm not asking you to get involved with me. I'm asking you to get involved with what you're aligned with most closely. And I'm pretty confident that when you read what I stand for and you read what the others stand for, that I will get your support just like that, because you're here for a reason. Okay? And change is in the air. And it's up to you. It's not up to me. I'm just putting myself out there for you. So you've got to do the work. You've got to get involved with your campaigns. You've got to understand who's governing around these local municipalities and regional districts and MLAs and MPs. Understand that elections matter. And for the past decade, we have been taken over by a radical element in our society. And they've taken over every single institution, and it's up to us to make the change through our human agency. Now, I've been in, this is my 9th election, okay? So, I got lots of, lives in the back, okay? But I've knocked on 10, 15,000 doors, and I'm gonna knock on another 5,000 or 6,000 doors by the time this election is done. But I need your help, okay? And you need to understand who's running in these elections. For example, I challenge every one of you to write down your school trustee. Write their names down and stick it on your fridge. Write the names down of the city councilors and stick it on your fridge. Write down your MLA, your MP, and stick those names on your refrigerator. And see if they're doing the job for you. And if they're not doing the job for you, then don't vote for them. I don't care how good looking they are, right? I don't care how fancy their name is. And here's the good news. All right, here's the good news. We have an opportunity, and folks, it could be sooner than later. There's rumors that this NDP government, who knows that they're failing, they may well call a spring election. They may well call an election this week. Are you ready for an election this week?
Hell yeah!
Well, I know you are. I know you are. And thank you for that. So, in 2024, we can change the provincial government.
Yes!
In 2025, we can change the federal government. And in 2026, we can change the civic government in British Columbia, because in 2026 we have another election. So this movement, and okay, I'm a conservative. Okay, so I invite you to go to conservativebc.ca and check out what I'm about. Get involved with my campaign if you are fired up and want change. Okay. But this is a movement. It's not even about a political party anymore. And we're going to take this movement into the province this year, to the country next year, and to our cities and towns all over British Columbia in 2026. And it's up to you, because there's only 90 of my peers, candidates, right? There's only 90. And we got to serve you guys, and you guys need to help us get in a position that we need to be in to make the changes, to make women feel safe in their spaces, to make children feel safe in their spaces and to set things right. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I now pass the mic on to Serena.
Before you walk there, just need that other mic you got on your hand. Thank you.
Don't forget to vote.
Okay, thank you. And it's important to know, while we're looking at what happened right here in our community and what happened to a family in our community, it's important to know how you can make change on a bigger scale. So thank you for that, John. Now, I want to say, first and foremost, I want to send out some prayers and some love to the family for what they went through. I had the opportunity to speak with the mother this morning and to hear her testimony of what took place to her and her daughter. And they are dealing right now with a lot of trauma and healing. And first and foremost, their privacy and their identities will be protected, because we know that they've already received not only misrepresentation in the media, however, they've also had misrepresentation in our community. Now, one thing I can say, and that I have been given permission to say, is that this was not a trans issue. This had nothing to do with the LGBTQ+2 community. As a matter of fact, we have many of our LGBTQ+2 community right here with us today, standing with us for this. This is about inclusivity, and the mother said to me, and I quote, "We believe in gender fluidity." This is not what it was about. There were accusations of this being a racial issue by this family who is First Nations and Cowichan. And that is not the truth as to what happened. The second accusation was that this was a trans issue. And that is not the truth. That does not represent the family's values. And the mother clarified this was a safety concern, because she had a 10-year-old daughter in the change room. And she was also with her 10-year-old cousin in the change room. And in this women's change room that they were in, not the universal change room, but the women's change room, what happened was they were made to feel uncomfortable. Multiple families were witnessed coming out of the change room and putting in complaints at the front desk. When the two children finally came out because they were uncomfortable to change in the women's change room because they were in clear view of the man, they came out and expressed their discomfort, in which the family then exited. It was 2 women, children, and a man from the women's change room. The family then confronted them in a respectful way. Now, the mother clarified to me that she is not argumentative and she is not a fighter. But she said to them, "You made my daughters uncomfortable. Why is there a man in the women's change room?" And they first said, "Well, we know there's a universal change room. We just didn't know where it was." And then they clarified and corrected themselves and said, "He just followed us in here because we were in here." So when they went to the front desk to complain, the staff at the front desk clarified that a complaint had already been put in by other families, saying that there was a naked man in the women's change room. So when the 2 women were confronted about this respectfully, they then said, "Just leave us alone." They were having a difficult day. They were in the middle of their own conflict or argument that was between them, and not any information privy to the family or involving the family. And so what unfolded was then an attack on the mother when she asked why he was using this room when he came out, and asked him to either leave or go to the universal change room because the girls were uncomfortable. This is when he claimed in the video that you all saw in video footage that he could identify as a woman with a beard. Now, I want to bring our attention to why this is an issue. Because this is not an issue of inclusivity, and this is not an issue of representing everyone's rights. Because I am somebody who stands for everyone's rights. Our LGBTQ+2 community and our trans community have rights. But that does not impede upon the rights of our girls and our women. And in no way can that erode our sense of safety, security, privacy, nor dignity. And that is what this is about today. because this has happened numerous times. We already have a case like this on Vancouver Island in Nanaimo at the swimming pool where a man peeked under the stall of a young girl. And when that mother escorted him out, she was the one who was villainized in the community, in the media, and by our representatives. We need to be able to stand for the rights of our girls and us women, because we have fought through history for these rights. This is not about eroding the rights of anyone else. We will stand for their rights and their safe spaces, but we will protect ours and our children. And that mother who stood as a mother, that was her responsibility and that was her obligation, as it is yours here today, to stand for your children and all the children of our community. We do not want our messages to be misconstrued, and we do not want our messages to be misrepresented nor perverted. Neither do we want this to be what happens to our children or our families. Now, this woman is being supported by her nation, and they've asked for their privacy. We are here as allies, but we are also here as advocates, because my daughter swims at this pool, and my daughter is 11 years old, and my daughter gets dropped off with her friends here, as do each and every one of your children. We want to know that there is accountability in these facilities. There is a correction that I do need to make, because we also need to be responsible with our words. There was no staff member in that video. Those were the two women accompanying the male man who was in the swimming pool. The staff members were not a part of that video. And I do want to clarify that for respect out of this facility and for the staff members here. I do want to say as well that where this is at, and the information I've gained, is that the police are investigating. They're going to be doing a 3-day investigation. They are encouraging that this become a social justice issue rather than a charges laid. And anything further than that, I cannot disclose, and I'll leave that to the family, because they are seeking legal representation and following the guidance of their legal representation. But again, first and foremost, we need to be allies and supports, because victim shaming will not take place in our community. And our voices will not be manipulated nor perverted. We're here, and we're standing in integrity, and we're standing together, all of us. Hi, hi. I want to give an opportunity. I believe, is Charles Borg here? Is he speaking next? Who do we got next?
Sure, who's
Joyce. Okay, come on up, Joyce.
to make one correction.
Do we want corrections?
Yeah, just one.
There you go.
Hi.
Thank you.
So I misspoke on the organizing committee. It's important to give thanks. And it wasn't Laura Allen, it was Carol Allen that was part of the organizing committee. So Carol, if you're here, big hand and big shout out to you. Ladies and gentlemen, former City Councillor Joyce Benson.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for being here. I just got here because I have been busy today for the past 3 hours helping the homeless and the addicted in downtown Duncan with Life on Wheels. You think that matters, okay? I also want to speak out because for the last few years it's been my honor and privilege with my dear friend Lily here to drive Lily and her sisters and brother back and forth to this swimming pool. And every time I bring them here, it's because of the safety issue in the streets, but because I love them. And we've been friends for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or so. Hey, Lily. So anyway, and their ages range from, how old are you now, 20? Down to 10 years old, 11. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. So my point in all of this is, why do I bring them when Lily calls me and says, what are you doing? Are you busy? And I go, would you like to go, where would you like to go to the pool? I go and I pick them up, I bring them here, I pick them up and I take them home. Why is that? I've felt that this was their safe place to come, to play, to enjoy, to hang out, and to be with the people and the community. That to me is #1 issue as far as protection for our peoples. And I just want to say, for me it's been a treat. I can drop anything and do that because I know about safety. But when I brought them here, I thought it was safe. And when I had to tell her last night when I came to pick them up that something had happened here, it just was the most horrible, awful feeling. So I just want you to know that our communities need to be strengthened by coming together as we are doing here today And I'm going to say I put the blame directly on our political system, on our governance, on the breakdown of communities that is being pushed. And I'm all for standing up for people's freedoms and rights, safety and protection, and it's all about the children and the grandchildren. I have a grandbaby going to be born in May, my daughter and son-in-law's first baby here in Cowichan. And you think that matters to me? Darn right. I'm only 5th generation Cowichan Valley. They will be 6th. They are 6th, and we'll be 7th. It matters for our future, and government is trying to screw everything up, and we need to change government provincially, federally, and locally for darn sure. Okay. That's where I rise up, is I'm a connector. I care. I know what's going on. I only sold concrete for 11 years in this valley for sure span. So I've been around. I know the place. I know the area. But more important, it's the people. It's our protection for all. And they need to know that they're safe wherever they are. So we need to clean up our streets and work together. Thank you for all your time. Take care. God bless.
Thanks. All right. Charles Borg. Do we have another speaker? Our speakers are still, weren't sure if they were able to get off work or not. And I just want to make sure. Yeah, sure.
I can say more.
So I have this if anybody wants to do your homework while I speak just for a couple of minutes. I'm Bill Plum. Some of you know me. I live at Shawnigan Lake. I have for 60 years.
Good idea.
I have 3 wonderful boys, sons of mine, and they have given me 6 wonderful granddaughters. And I have one that lives here, and every time she sees me, she comes running up to me and jumps up on me. I do not want that to change. She was supposed to be here right now taking her first swimming lesson as a 6-year-old. And my son came in yesterday and said that she couldn't come unless they could guarantee her safety. I don't particularly blame the people in here working here. We need to go where this is coming from. And we need to keep these kids safe. And this is the hill I will stand on to protect my granddaughters.
Now somebody walked away, I believe it was Joyce with the microphone. With the little microphone. There we go. Come on back, here we go. All right, thank you. So, you guys, this is something that we can't allow to just slip away. Like John said earlier, every week there's something in our community to speak to. And so next week there's going to be something else, and the week after that there will be something else. We can't let this is an important matter. And it's up to us to keep it alive by speaking to it, by ensuring that this is being recognized in our communities and being addressed. So yes, while this Cowichan Aquatic Center is not responsible and the staff are not, when we call respectfully and we express our concerns and the safety, then they as staff have a responsibility to our community to discuss it. Our board members, our city councilors, all of these different facilities, because this isn't the only place that we see this. This is happening at the pools. But we don't have safe spaces for women in change rooms anymore. We don't have these spaces. And we as women, we know that we are taught, and we've taught our daughters, you need to trust your intuition. If anything makes you uncomfortable, you don't go against it. And so to tell our daughters to go against their very own nature, to remove their clothing in front of a strange man in a space, how does this make any sense? Think about that for a moment. When would we ever encourage our children to remove their clothing in a space with a man who is a stranger or any other adult who is a stranger? Never. And we will never tell our children to go against their instinct. Never. They have to have the ability to keep themselves safe, and we need to teach them the ability to keep them safe, which means our institutions are meant to be a representation of this, because these are family institutions. They're meant to serve us And so they need to serve our needs. Now we do have, I've invited, if there's anyone from the nation, from the Cowichan Nations or the Cowichan tribes, or from the family members that are here, or any of the elders that would like an opportunity to speak, we would like to welcome you to the microphone as well. We do have a couple other speakers, but like we said, this is Grassroots. This is your community stepping up and stepping forward, and this is what it looks like, and you're a part of it. You're a part of it. This isn't us doing it. We're not the ones doing this. We're doing it with you, all of us. It happens through us. Change happens through us. And so, who are we introducing next? April Kitzel, thank you. And then after that, if the elder would like to speak, we'd love to welcome you next. Thank you, April.
Thank you.
But I'm going to put this on you. Oh, but don't walk away with it.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is April Kitzel. Before retiring in 2022, I used to work for the Correctional Service of Canada as an institutional parole officer and correctional parole officer, or programs officer in men's institutions. It was there that I saw the impact of Bill C-16 when gender identity and gender expression were added to the Canadian Human Rights Act in 2017. Since then, trans-identified male inmates have been transferred into women's prisons with devastating results. There has been physical assaults, sexual harassment, voyeurism, sexual assaults, and pregnancies. When the women try to report it and file a complaint, the CSC tells them to re-educate themselves. So it's not just in prisons that are affected, but all single-sex spaces, and this is including toilets, locker rooms, shelters, even rape crisis centers. I've heard of women in rape crisis centers encountering males and then being told to reframe their trauma. Can you imagine? How cruel. So here we are today, after a man has entered the women's locker rooms and got naked in front of young girls. His boundary violations ignored, the complaints of the young girls and their mother ignored, and instead we're told to be kind. The idea that women must be nice, that we have to be accepting and kind, and we must be submissive, really is sexist. It's just old-fashioned sexism. And as women, we are tired of being silenced and ignored. As a society, we are tired of being lied to and told that we must participate in that lie. We're done. Okay? We're done. We're done. This scarf that I'm wearing, I don't know if you can see it well, it has the colors of the suffragette flag. The suffragette flag was invented in the early 20th century when women were not allowed to vote. And the colors are green, white, and violet. The first letter of each color stood for Give Women the Vote. But today, I think these colors mean Give Women a Voice. And of course, we have a voice, but we must use it. We need to make it very clear to our leaders that we aren't being nice, we aren't participating in the lie, we aren't staying silent, and we want our stuff back. Yeah. It is not the job of women to provide therapeutic validation to trans-identified males. Okay? We are saying no, and we are not sorry. So get males out of our prisons, shelters, locker rooms, and sports. Just get them out. We demand the return of single-sex spaces for the safety, privacy, and dignity of women. So I want you to use your voice and use your vote. Now, as far as I know, there's only one major political party that knows what a woman is. Can you guess which one? It's the Conservative Party. Yes, it is. So give that some thought the next time an election rolls around and you go to the polls. Use your voice, use your vote, don't be nice, and don't be sorry. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we have an elder, Rose Henry, who's going to be speaking now. So thank you, Rose Henry. I'm going to give you the microphone.
Oh, they want to tag me again. They want to stick something on me. After Joyce has done her thing and oh, right, okay. Now I've been dog tagged. So, you know, a lot of you know me from, my different actions. Civil rights activist, that's me. I've been doing it for 55 plus years, advocating for the rights of Indigenous people to have their voices heard, advocating for the rights for women to have their voices heard. I spent many years advocating for the unhoused to have their voices heard. I've traveled all over the world speaking out about the injustice and delivering the solutions of actions. Because, just speaking out is not enough. Just voting is not enough. It's the actions. And so here on the Cowichan territory, your very presence here has shown that this is a community that does care about what is happening. And we have some excellent leaders here showing our young ones, our little ones, they're our elders. You're showing them that you care by being here present today. Because the very system that, has oppressed many of the First Nations and the women is trying to do their nasty deeds by denying the safety and the protection of women. But you know what? I'm going to say something that's a bit risky because, it's also the men. The men need some protection too. They need a safe place to be at too. They need it. But we need to have our roles defined a little bit more. But we need to define them. We can't wait for our governments to define it. And, I didn't want to make this a political issue, but a couple of speakers in front of me have already done it. This should have never been a political issue. There should have never been a comment made about transgendered people. That was so wrong. That was sheer ignorance. And so, people need to be educated about two-spirited, transgendered. They need a lot of education. There's too many letters in that LGBTQ, too many letters for me. Living by acronyms, that's not me. I see the humanness first. And so, we need to move up into the actions. We need to talk to our municipal governments. Our city council people need to hear our voices. Our MLAs, our MPs, everybody needs to hear what is happening, because it's not just happening here, it's happening in Ladysmith, it's happening in Nanaimo. I just came back from Ottawa and it's also happening in there. So, this is what I got off the plane to, was this situation happening right now, Like I literally was in Ottawa speaking at the Congress of Aboriginal Peoples Council. And so enough is enough. It's time for the people to rise up and do the action. But I'm going to advocate in a non-violent way. That's the part that we tend to miss. How do we make our voices heard and not get hurt? Because unfortunately, in situations like this, it usually is the Indigenous people and the women who get hurt. So I really pray at this point, for some justice to be restored and for the family to continue to receive the help that they need to begin their healing journey, and that the people that were involved with what happened here, that they learn from this. So I'm going to say Hachkasiyam.
So I'm gathering a lot of things here. Somebody's umbrella. Can I give that back to you? Is that okay? Can you grab just the, wait. There we go, thank you. Okay, thank you for your words. It felt really important today to have an elder speak, so thank you to our elder for speaking and being able to speak here today on this issue, and that's extremely valuable to have an elder's voice here today. So thank you for that, and especially as representation for this family. As you said, a lot of First Nations voices don't get heard, a lot of women's voices don't get heard, and I love these signs that say women will speak, right? So thank you, and I love that you advocated for a non-violent way, because there are ways for our voices to be heard without us being assaulted and injured, without there being violence and trauma. And that's important, and it starts with listening, hearing each other, and understanding, not taking creative liberties on the narratives, but instead listening and hearing to understand, hearing to find solutions, not hearing to be right, but hearing to find solutions together as a community, no matter what issue it is that we're addressing. So I want to give an opportunity. We've had a woman come up. Her name is Bridget. Bridget was actually in the change room that day and is somebody who actually put in a complaint earlier in the situation. So Bridget, if you can come, please.
Yes, I was in the change room, walked into the change room and saw the two women, which is the mother and the children. And when I was walking towards the cubby where we changed, in comes a man. And I thought, what the heck is he doing in here? And he was just standing there with the family. And I went into the change room and I heard them talk about how it was the women's change room and she couldn't find the universal change room. And then they continued to change while I was in the cubby. And then all of a sudden it was quiet and you would think they were gone. But when I came out, he was in his swim trunks putting his clothes into the locker. And I went out and I addressed it to the lady on the front right away that there was a man in the change room. And that was all I knew until this morning when I read on the news that based on that, it turned into a fight that could maybe have been avoided. And that is what I think is the story when they say to us, if you see something, say something. But if nothing happens when we say something, what can we do?
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you. That is an important element of this, that we want accountability. There needs to be action that follows. There needs to be action that follows complaint. There's a responsibility for staff members, and perhaps we need to look at that and hold that accountability. How will the Cowichan Aquatic Center now address this with their staff and with ongoing situations? Because as I pulled up today, somebody stopped me and they recognized me and they said, I saw your video. I recognize you from the video that you put out on this story. And I want you to know that I am here every week because I am a service provider in the community, and we bring youth and children with special needs, and we constantly have men sitting there staring at us undressing and the children. And we've put in multiple complaints, and it continues week after week. So this is why I'm bringing it up, because it's stirring something in you. But you have to govern yourselves accordingly, because this happens through us. And if you are loose cannons out there, you are going to kill the narrative, and you are going to be the detriment of change. So while you recognize the shame and the wrongdoing, you have a responsibility to conduct yourselves in a responsible manner that brings about the change we need effectively. That is your responsibility, community. Don't forget that. So what that means is you demand accountability. You ask the staffs, how will you handle this in the future? How are you handling the situation when those complaints went in? We need these answers, and we need the next steps of accountability. That's how you bring about change. Is there anybody else who would like to speak, or where are we at? Because I miss Savannah. You want to come up and speak on? No? I'll let you think about that, but for a moment, okay, I'm going to just finish one thing and then I'll introduce you. No, come on up, love. Marina, come on up. But what I do want to say... Charles is also in the audience. Charles, okay. So one of the things I do want to say is it's been brought to our attention again about other buildings, institutions, services in our community. For example, Winners only has a universal change room now. For example, the new high school has made the girls and the boys change room smaller and made a big universal one. There have been multiple complaints on our community's behalf, from the planning phase to the building phase. This has gone to the school board numerous times and to other representatives in our community to no avail. So this is a bigger issue that is taking place beyond just the swimming pool. We need these safe spaces all throughout our community, and these spaces need to be protected for girls, women, boys, men, and our trans community. So I do want to say that we've got Marina, and I'm not even going to attempt to say your last name, Miss Marina, but Marina is one of also our local candidates, also running with the Conservatives, so I'll give you the microphone. Thank you, Marina.
Thank you.
And the doctor.
Yes. I just had to retire from being a doctor for 37 years, so I will be able to run this campaign. So it's kind of it's a new adventure. So in this situation, what I want to say is that this incident was waiting to happen. An adult man assaulted a girl because he was convinced of his own impunity. And we are standing for women's protected spaces. It was an assault on a girl. It was an assault on women's right to have protected spaces, and it was an assault on basic common sense. And trans identifying individuals can and should be accommodated without infringing on other people's rights. In this case, it's infringing on women's rights to have protected spaces. And interestingly enough, Conservative Party of BC is the only party that has a courage to actually say it, that we stand up and we support women's protected spaces. This incident should never have happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Perfect. Right. First, we're going to have Charles Borg come up. Charles Borg is yet another one of our Conservative candidates running right here in the Valley. So we have a great representation from the Conservative Party. So thank you, Conservatives, for showing that you care in your community and are invested by being here.
Thank you, Serena. I appreciate it.
I'm going to put that on. Yeah. There you go.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charles Borg. I'm running to be your federal Conservative Party candidate and your next member of Parliament. I support the cause here. This message is about protecting girls, protecting women, and protecting safe spaces. But more importantly, it's also to bring attention to parental rights. You, the parents, have jurisdiction over your children, not the state. Yes. The Conservative Party of Canada, led by Pierre Poilievre, we respect that, we acknowledge that. So the state does not have jurisdiction over your children. You have final say about what is safe and what is right for your children. So I just wanted to come up here, introduce myself, saying, yes, I am a Conservative. I'm a soon-to-be father. I hear your concerns, and we, the Conservative Party, we, the Conservatives, are uniting to take back our valley for freedom, for parental rights, and for freedom for everyone. Thank you so much.
All right. So we've got Shane, a community member, a parent, who would like to give some voice here for a moment as well. Just before I hand you over the mic, there is something I want to say. I just want to bring up something that's taken place on March 8th in Ireland. They actually voted down the change of terminology within a lot of their systems and their governance, because there was something that they understood in that. They understood that when they were changing the terminology and changing the language used, that they're actually changing their identity, their customs, their tradition, and their spirituality, which is the basis in which they are built upon. As the Irish, the Celtic people, they're rich in their tradition, culture, and spirituality, and understood they had a right to preserve that. I bring that up for good reason, because I want everybody here to think about your culture, your custom, your tradition, your spirituality, and how the basis of having a safe space is a part of that. As a girl, as a boy, as a woman, as a man, as a two-spirited, whatever it is, recognizing that the language we use and the terminology we use is important. So thank you. All right, Shane? There you go. I'm gonna flip that one. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, here. There you go, sir.
Hi guys, so I just wanted to speak with you guys for a moment, basically because my 9-year-old that comes here every Saturday to swim in that pool, she wanted to speak with you guys, so I'll let her end. I'm going to start with kind of saying why we're qualified to speak. Well, first off, I was born in the Duncan Hospital, and so was she. We are both First Nations, we're Mohawk. We identify as conservative, basically, with the last couple of years it's pointed us towards a conservative government. We work with our youth, our high-risk youth. We do a lot in the community with them. That's really important to us. All that being said, that's why we're qualified to speak. But what I wanted to say was, when we go into that change room, we bring our 3-year-old daughter as well. It's Briella and Ari and myself. We go into the universal change room. We're a very private family, so it means like they've never seen me naked. Now other families, they're not like that, and I'm not judging anybody how their family is. I'm just saying for our family, we're very private. I'm very private with it. The reason why I say that is because if it was just Briella and I, then she would go to the ladies' change room and I would be in the men's change room, and then I would just see her out front a couple of minutes later. Now, the reason why I say this is because, well, I teach martial arts, and that's allowed me a lot of peace in my life, but I haven't always been peaceful. And I mean, the problem with people like me or people with my background is maybe they would protect their daughter with violence. And I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm saying that that would be a trigger in me that I don't think I could stop. And I'm not saying that that's right.
It's not right, but you can't.
I'm just saying, so what would happen? I would use violence, and then what would happen? I would be embarrassed. I'd be humiliated. I would be in legal trouble with our RCMP. I would have scarred my daughter. And all this can be prevented by, for anybody that was born with something that you need to keep private, just keep it private, and just keep the guys and the girls separate. And if you need to identify somewhere else and you're in the universal change room, can you please just use they have a lot of stalls in there, so that could eliminate a lot of this. Thanks for giving us our time, and I'm going to allow my daughter to end our conversation.
Honestly, I think that all women should have a safe place and all the men should have a safe place. This shouldn't be going on right now.
From the mouths of babes. Thank you very much. What I'm hearing in your share right now is that we have diverse walks we come from, diverse cultures, diverse family practices and traditions, and that we all have the right to preserve that, and we all have the right to that. Again, we have the right to safety, we have the right to privacy, and we have the right to dignity. So thank you for that. Now, we have one last speaker before we bring it to a close. We've got Zoe, who would like to come up and say a couple words. So thank you, Zoe. And everybody else, I want to say thank you for being here, but don't disperse yet, please.
Thank you, Serena. I'm Zoe Blunt. Okay, go ahead. I want to thank you all for coming today. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to come out and speak. And you're right, we are a very diverse group. These are people from all walks of life, people from all parts of the political spectrum. We've heard from the Conservatives. I'm here to represent some of the radical women, the radical feminists of Canada. And you can reach us at info@radfems.ca. We are women from Duncan, Nanaimo, Parksville, Victoria, Souk, Metchosin, all across the island. And we are Grassroots Women, and that's the name of our project, is the Grassroots Independent Women of Vancouver Island. So we've been coming out for women and girls who are attacked in these kind of circumstances, who are victims of male violence. We are coming out for them, and we really want to encourage women. Please get in touch, info@radfems.ca. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Zoe. I see Miss Savannah would like to come up and say a couple words, and then we have one more lady right after her. So we're going to have Savannah, and then you just got the camera right behind you. Careful, love. Okay, thank you. So Savannah, there you go.
Hey, I was just inspired to speak after that little girl.
Savannah is one of the organizers. So today.
Oh boy. Hey, I don't feel like I need that. I'm just like everybody else here who, probably heard about this, watched the video, saw it go black, heard a bunch of girls screaming, and it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. And Sunday night, I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do about this? It needs to be more than just letter writing and complaining. We've done that. Because the thing that really, really bothers me is how this puts many people in danger. And like the man just said, it's him as well, right? Because someone did an act that was totally unreasonable, disrespectful, goes against societal, rules or understandings, now puts this father in a position to protect his child, and then what? He goes to jail, and now his kid grows up without his dad. My partner would do the same. And it wouldn't be right, but what is right anymore? What is right anymore? It's so confusing, and they've made it that way. It used to be simple. And the thing about the Czech newsletter interview that went out that made me just so mad, misunderstanding. How does a misunderstanding go to a 10-year-old little girl being pushed up against a wall by a full-grown man? How does that happen? A decent man would not do that. A decent man would not go into a woman's change room because they would be inconvenienced not to. It is not a misunderstanding. It was completely clear. There was a man in the woman's change room. Done. There was nothing else to talk about.
Correct. That's right.
And if they're talking about the misunderstanding is that they didn't know the details as to why this man was in the woman's change room, that's irrelevant. That doesn't matter. Your need to save time, to make sure your kids can swim for as long as possible, because you can't find the universal change room, do not trump women's rights. Do not trump women's safe spaces. Do not trump young girls being safe from harm. So misunderstanding is total BS. And this is not just about this particular incident. It is about what this incident suggests. It suggests that these policies and these ideologies are harmful and that they are putting every single person at risk. They are putting the trans community at risk. the true trans community that could actually use the support, which is a very, very, very small percentage. And then because it is opening the door for anybody, any man to say, I'm a lady with a beard, there's nothing you can do about it. Well, you know what? There is something we can do about it, and we are here, and we are sick and tired of regulations, policies, and ideologies. Now with that, I very much agree with what Serena stands for, which is be strong and be confident and clear in your messaging, but don't be that radical, threatening, just violent, alarmist person, because all it does is make us look bad. It makes the whole group look bad because no one's an individual anymore. We're just a big group of crazy people, okay? Just because we want to protect our children. So please, be loud, be vocal, stand in the truth. Don't let people slam you down because it's somehow politically incorrect. This shouldn't be political, absolutely. But do it in a way that you can feel proud of and not have regrets about. Thank you.
To Savannah, thank you for all your hard work in bringing this together on such short notice and recognizing that this is something that not only did our community need, but that family needed. Don't forget who we're standing here for today. Yes, all of our children, but how about that family that was impacted, who is still healing? Okay, that child experienced trauma. That mother experienced trauma. Let's think about this for a moment. When we speak up and say we don't feel safe, we're uncomfortable. We go so far as to find the courage to advocate for ourselves to our parents and say, I don't feel comfortable, I had to leave that space. Well, bravo, young girls, for leaving that space. Thank you for listening to yourself. Thank you for going to an adult who is trusted. Thank you to that mother for understanding her responsibility and her obligation to investigate this situation, to inquire about this situation, to try to fix the situation. And the violence that they faced by 3 adults, not just to the mother, but to the child. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable.
Unacceptable!
We have one last speaker. I'd like to invite Anita. Anita.
Hey, Jess. Hi, folks. How are you doing? Yeah, I saw the video last night and I was incensed. I'm 55 years old. I was raised in Ontario, and I have to say I'm very lucky that I have not experienced tremendous sexual violence. However, I have had numerous occasions with men exposing themselves to me throughout my life, and I'm sure most women have had these experiences.
That is sexual violence.
Yes, but I'm fortunate that I have never been assaulted physically, touched. So we obviously need to reform some of our social behaviors, and we need to make them kind and loving and respectful and peaceful, and those that promote our community togetherness and not division. So in this way, I'm so in line with this nice peaceful movement. This interaction that happened in this change room was so unfortunate, but due to the attitude that was displayed by that gentleman, I wouldn't say gentleman, but which said, I can do this and you can do nothing about it. That was so aggressive. That was so aggressive a move against that woman. It was such an aggressive move against a mother. It was like declaring war with her. Imagine if he had just apologized and departed and he said oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize this was going to be so traumatic for everyone. That is what a decent human being would do. Man, woman, child, whatever. Most reasonable, kind, and mature men and fathers, they know that many women and girls have been deeply traumatized by the sight of a penis and its implications. And therefore, they're usually willing to change in their own rooms without question. In our society, we've been a little sick, and it's produced people with unbalanced and antisocial sexual behavior, predatory sex drives. And so it should go without saying, but apparently, with the dumbing down of society, it needs to be said that it is not safe to allow penises into the girls' change room. Woo! An individual still gets in trouble for exposing themselves in public, but apparently it's okay to expose a penis to girls and women and children in a change room in closed quarters in privacy. How is that makes any sense? We have lost all track of common sense. Obviously, if we are lax on this, it leaves a loophole and room for predators. And for this reason alone, most reasonable, kind, mature men, fathers, and others with or without penises would opt to help support women in having safe spaces. And so we need to encourage everyone to get on board with that, because we know that most reasonable people are in line with this thought. Yes, we have rights in this country, but our rights always stop at the point where they inflict trauma on other people. And when this kind of situation happens, people are traumatized. It is very obvious from that video when you hear those children. That's what made my heart go out as well, was like, I remember how much trauma I felt just by being exposed to men predatory behavior. Yes. This bearded individual may not have been a predator, but his behavior opens the door to abuse by predators, and his behavior is selfish and immoral, and it should be criminal because it is traumatizing of others. It is unnecessary when there are plenty of private or male or family facilities to use, and for this reason, his behavior is completely unacceptable. And we need to stand our ground on this now before it slides into total chaos. Thank you very much.
Okay, folks, we're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna pass the mic off to Serena, but you know, she said it was the last speaker, but she failed to notice that there was politicians in the area. So I just want to say this in all seriousness: beyond the incident that the RCMP, we will give them the time to investigate. But the bigger picture here is, it's about robbing women, not just from these public spaces, but from leadership roles in life. I mean, if we continue to allow men in women's sports, okay, after the hard work and dedication and commitment, and they can't advance, we lose the women in leadership roles in the future. And that's an attack on women. We hear the NDP and we hear the Liberals talk all about women's rights, yet they turn around and rob women from their private spaces like we have in our public facilities, but also in our leadership roles in our communities, whether it's corporate, whether it's civic, whether it's nonprofit. We need to make sure we preserve those opportunities for women to advance. So thank you very much, everyone. Remember, this is politics. Politics is your world. Elections matter. Get involved with your campaigns. Get involved with my campaign. It's happening now, and it could be early, it could be later, but no time like the present. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say one more thing really quickly, that one way to speak up against this and let people know, let this swimming pool for the community know that you're not happy about it, and not be violent and unhinged or whatever, is maybe don't go. Maybe don't support them with your money. It's almost beautiful weather for swimming on lakes, rivers, oceans all around. Email them, let them know you won't be coming because you're not comfortable there. Yeah, absolutely. This is also an email complaint campaign as well, so please do.
Thank you, Savannah. And that's right, and that's a great note to end on, is that this requires action on each and every one of your part. It wasn't enough to just come and stand here. It's not enough to record. It's not enough to like and share on social media. I see 350 people watching. It's not enough to like and share, but wait, I see I'm getting a call also. But I would like to say that you guys, it takes action on your part. And you can start by walking in there respectfully and going and asking those questions and for accountability and putting in complaints. The poster itself for Safe Spaces has a whole list of your MLAs and everybody to email and to have your voice heard respectfully. But it requires action. And I put out a little bit of a spicy video telling everyone to get off their asses and their couches and to stand on their feet and to get here, boots on the ground. And I want to say thank you. Thank you. And I want to especially say thank you to every one of our mama bears who have been out there and who have been raising their voices and who have been standing up in these change rooms and at the pools and everywhere else. But today I also want to say thank you to our men. We need our men in society. We need our fathers. We need our brothers. We need our uncles, and we need our grandfathers. We need our men to stand by our women and by our children, because this is what our families were built on, and this is what our communities are built on. Do not forget your role, because us women, we will stand up here. We will be devoured by the crowd if it means standing in front of your children. But we need our men right here beside us. Thank you everyone for coming. Don't forget, put your words into action. Hi, hi.